You are still watching the morning call here on Africanews, and now we get into our second leading story. Cameroon, the first of 17 African countries to gain independence in 1960, will mark its 60th anniversary today, the 1st of January. Despite having overcome a brutal and bloody war against French colonial troops, many feel the independence celebration is flawed because of the perceived continued dominance of France in the country. In addition, the celebration comes at a time when the nation is going through one of the most turbulent periods in its history. The nation is currently facing Boko Haram attacks in the far north and a violent separatist conflict in the English-speaking southwest, Ruth.
Eh bien, Nyasha, pour parler de ce 60e
anniversaire. To talk about the 60th anniversary, Professor Charly Gabriel Mbock joins us.
Bonjour, messieurs,
Hello, sir, and welcome. Professor Mbock, 17 African countries gained their independence in 1960, among which Cameroon celebrates its in January 1st. You are Cameroonian, one is tempted to ask what your feelings are on these 60 years of independence. I would say that talking about independence is a political lie. In the 60s, the colonial power set up a state mechanism, and it is this state mechanism that carried the message of a practically foreign independence. I mean, it was guided by external forces, and the world said nothing. Why? Because the change was structural, because the state apparatus set up by the colonial masters had the mission of hindering the emergence of nations. So the union of the population was fighting for a nation, but for the people. You see, we were not yet talking about the people, but about population, because population became a people after a political awareness of their liberties, their rights, and their need and urgency for sovereignty. This is what has been fought and liquidated by the colonial power.
Après une prise de conscience politique de ses droits, de ses libertés et de son imputécible besoin et urgence de souveraineté. C'est cela qui a été combattu, liquidé par la puissance tutélaire. Et ce schéma reste permanent parce que, de mon point de vue, depuis 60 ans, on assiste à un conflit entre l'État et la nation dans la plupart de ces pays, dont le Cameroun.
Now, Professor, there are anti-French sentiments across many former French colonies, and analysts have even deplored France as having deceived the world in 1960 by pretending that Cameroon was independent. So what is your view on the Cameroon-France relationship at the moment?
It is obvious. In 2011, I will publish a book entitled Decolonizing France. Well, this document is not a simple document. This book develops the idea that France is a prisoner of its colonies because it's unable to get over the muddy and misleading discourse on development aid. France lives on colonies. She can't afford to do without them. And that's the pattern. There is no good colonization, be it economic, political, financial. In any way, there is no good colonization. Professor, Cameroon is experiencing another of the most tormented periods in its history with the conflict in the English-speaking zone. And these old secessionist tendencies, a situation that undermines the integrity of its territory. What was held in Cameroon under the name of national dialogue, which allowed me to get people to talk. Specific words were repeatedly mentioned. Honest truth. It was not a dialogue of truth and honesty. So I think that the language of truth and honesty would be an important step so that the state set up in Cameroon against the nation could come together and realize that the state is only an instrument at the service of the nation, not the other way around. So I think that talking about integrity is again distorting the problem, because there is a split state that has organized divisions, and methodically you heard President Biya speak at the famous forum of Paris before Mo Ibrahim that the state had to try to assimilate the English speakers of the Cameroon, but that this attempt failed. It is documented since the video has circulated. How do you want people not to be frustrated?
Eh bien, Professeur
Charly Gabriel Mbock, thank you.
Vous êtes écrivain et anthropologue à Yaoundé au Cameroun. Merci.
Professor Charly Gabriel Mbock, a writer and anthropologist in Yaoundé, Cameroon.
On poursuit avec vous, Nia Chaké.